Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to analyze specific signs that can help you identify unreliable and unfaithful women, the kind you encounter every single day in the world around us. Unfortunately, some people have had the misfortune of even building relationships with women like this, and those relationships ended badly, to put it mildly. Let's get straight to the most important and interesting parts, and we'll approach this step by step. First, I want to start with what constitutes a person's personality. I define it as a set of dynamic tendencies. Most of our tendencies are shaped by life experience. The broader your experience, the greater the chance these tendencies become embedded in your personality. Let me simplify this. Someone who smoked for years and then quit doesn't actually get rid of the habit entirely. An internet addict who stops their comfortable degradation for a week doesn't eliminate the desire to fill the void inside. If a woman regularly goes to clubs and spends her evenings in bars, this reveals her tendencies. When you're with such a girl, you sit on one side of the scale, and her weaknesses sit on the other. In the beginning, you might outweigh everything else because you're something new in her life. But as time goes on, there are fewer and fewer guarantees. At first, everything might seem proper and appropriate. You caught the attention of a girl who's used to club culture, and when you ask about her future drinking habits and partying, she confidently says, "Of course not," or "We'll have fun together differently, honey." But anyone with even minimal experience knows how these relationships actually develop. You make an agreement somewhere that you'll both drink together, go to nightclubs together, and if you like someone else, you'll admit it immediately. These are just words spoken in the heat of passion. When the fire of passion cools down, these agreements get torn up in seconds. The same mechanism works with infidelity tendencies. If a girl has predispositions that increase the probability of cheating, then the danger of waking up with horns on your head exists from day one. Not after 17 years of marriage. Here's a basic example. A party girl for whom regularly coming home drunk from a late-night party is her way of living happily. She might have experience with various substances too. And if a girl could cross such barriers just for a bit of pleasure, then cheating on her boyfriend becomes just another interesting quest for her. Staying faithful is a limitation that stands between her and what she wants. She's already gotten used to crossing moral boundaries at clubs, so she'll justify cheating to herself without any trouble. We humans are very clever at making deals with ourselves when it comes to indulging our weaknesses. However, when you meet a woman and ask her about infidelity, any woman will tell you she's faithful. It sounds something like, "I could never cheat. If I love someone, it's real. It disgusts me. I'm not some kind of loose woman." It sounds like that, basically. We won't analyze the rare exceptions where a woman immediately confesses that she's capable of this. Probably because we don't really consider those women as potential partners. I recommend watching this video not just until the end and drawing abstract conclusions. Watch it a second time, maybe even a third, or take notes. The behavioral markers I'm about to mention might save your life one day. Both men and women cheat, but female infidelity is usually fatal for relationships. Of course, the consequences don't come instantly. There's almost never a story where a woman cheats and then suddenly comes to her senses and falls at her husband's feet. Why? Because going astray means she stopped perceiving her man as the only one. Female infidelity is always emotional. The new partner essentially becomes her new lover. Therefore, infidelity always comes with a desire to enter new relationships. Even if she doesn't leave for the first Vasily, she'll leave for the second one, who appears 6 months or a year later. Or she might even want to create a love triangle at home. A woman who can't be faithful to one man will never become a true wife. Throughout my practice, I've studied thousands of stories. Cases where women cheated, left for someone else, created love triangles, and even more complex arrangements. My experience has allowed me to identify typical signs of an unreliable woman. The presence of even one point from the list I'm about to give you is reason to doubt a woman's integrity. Let's start with the obvious and superficial: her appearance. If she wears short shorts, short skirts, low-cut tops with deep cleavage, or provokes men visually in other ways, that's bad. If you think she doesn't feel or understand what she's doing, you're mistaken. She absolutely feels it. She wants to be eaten with men's eyes. Sure, she might justify it by saying she does it for herself, but why would you believe that nonsense? With revealing clothes, a woman signals her readiness to meet new candidates and competes with other women. A pathological lover of short skirts does this regardless of whether a man is present in her life or not, because the stream of fresh specimens in her zoo is more important to her than stable relationships. These ladies also tend to have high sexual appetite, and men still get deceived trying to remake these problem girls. Listen, if you think you can change a girl who loves partying, get her to love you, marry you, and she'll become a good wife. You're naive. At the first moment of your weakness, she'll find a new admirer. The same applies to provocative and revealing photos in social media that incite inappropriate behavior. Remember one rule: a woman who demonstrates her beauty lives for the sake of increasing her importance and counting her admirers. Her own beauty, her attractiveness, her desirability, that's the most important thing in her head. She'll never sacrifice it. Therefore, in the long run, she's destined to be unhappy, and a man next to her will be unhappy twice over. The higher the opinion a woman has of herself, the easier it is for her to cross moral lines and justify it to herself while making you guilty. For such a girl, cheating is just an interesting adventure. To avoid infidelity, only two main elements are needed: a suitable candidate and convenient circumstances. The next sign is a wild youth. If a girl started dating men early, it means she never had internal boundaries to begin with. If there were several men, you can pretty much forget about her character. At the moment you meet such a woman, her personal life was already boiling. There was one guy, then after a few months another, and then a third. She broke up with all of them, remained with none. From this we can conclude that for her, being in a relationship was just entertainment. A good woman takes her life as a couple seriously and maintains distance from other men, colleagues, acquaintances from her social circle, or neighbors. I won't even mention exes. They shouldn't be around at all. A decent woman doesn't let other men get too close, doesn't hold hands, doesn't give out advances, and doesn't lead them on. And if at the beginning of your relationship someone else is sending her flowers, texting her all day, or she's spending time with male friends, then you've stepped into a mousetrap, and soon the drama will begin. This might start with simple love triangles, but escalate to much more complex arrangements. The next point is women who are adrenaline junkies. Women who can't live without an emotional rush, regardless of the source. They feed on emotional drama. This could be extreme sports, reckless driving, constant travel, hitchhiking, bungee jumping. For such a girl, relationships are just another ride with ups and downs. An adrenaline junkie sees cheating and fighting as a source of this rush, and she's willing to put her life on the line for it. Another category is women who drink regularly, every Friday or every weekend. They frequent bars and clubs. These women don't know what they want in life, so they spend all their free time pursuing entertainment. They're filling an internal void with constant fantasies where they imagine themselves as heroines of cheesy movies. If during communication, you realize she has no clear direction in life, pay attention to that. It might be time to end the relationship, because without direction, she'll be blown wherever the wind takes her. Periods with her are like temporary calm spells before the storm, after which her tendencies will resurface. A year or two down the line, it'll happen anyway. It's absolutely unacceptable to consider women who have been mistresses or maintained relationships with married men. The inclination to be a mistress doesn't come from nowhere. If she found pleasure in being a mistress, then the chance of her having a lover while with you is very high. Another situation to note: if a girl was deceived and only discovered the man had a wife after starting a relationship with him, then her behavior after finding out is crucial. A decent girl would immediately end that relationship. If she didn't stop, then the conclusions speak for themselves. If a woman conducts herself provocatively, curses, is rude to others, loves being the center of attention, and uses toxic methods to achieve it, communicating with her is like a street fight. If she senses a chance to gain an advantage, she'll use any tactic. You need to be prepared for this. In relationships, this manifests as scandals and quarrels. Since women like this usually judge everyone but themselves, one day she'll get revenge on you through someone else. At the beginning of relationships, these girls love trash-talking their exes, and one day, you might end up on that list. And to her next guy, she'll describe you as such a terrible jerk. Another bright marker is lies, bold-faced lies. If even once she looked you in the eye and tried to deceive you, omit something, or gloss over the truth, she'll do it her whole life. There are no minor issues here. The Bible has an interesting phrase: "He who is not faithful in small things is not faithful in great things." Any liar justifies their actions somehow. Even if you catch such a girl cheating, she'll make up a story. Her lover is a work colleague. He just gave her a ride home. They went to get some accounting reports. The marks on her knees are from leaning on the work desk because her skin is tender. Well, you can imagine the rest yourself. The way to understand her is simple. Look at her friends and what they talk about. If it's a group of glamorous girls and their meetings consist of gossip, spa visits, hookah bars, trips to Turkey, then turn around and run away. Nothing good will come of it. Women like this might have all the previously mentioned signs combined. The next point is bodily shame, or rather, the lack of it. The absence of a reflexive sense of embarrassment about being undressed at home should be alarming. Even children, after a certain age, reflexively cover their intimate areas without anyone teaching them. Around 5 or 6 years old, they already try to hide their nudity. So if after your first intimate encounter, a girl doesn't bother to cover herself, you should think about how many times she's been in that situation with other men that nothing embarrasses her anymore. Men with experience can confirm in the comments. Girls who cover themselves after their first intimate moments turn out to be more decent, while girls who walk around the house in Eve's outfit when you've known each other only a couple of days have experience, and probably also plenty of experience coming up with excuses for their own infidelity. Look, if you encounter a girl like this, don't argue with her or blame her for anything. I actually recommend approaching it with childlike curiosity and observation. You can communicate with such uninhibited girls to observe their reasoning and draw conclusions for yourself. A wise man can use this dialogue to better understand what a reliable woman looks like through the answers you receive. But trying to find an enemy in girls, that's just a limitation in my opinion. The main idea of this video is this: in the long-term perspective of family life, The probability of a woman cheating depends not only on you, and not even primarily on you. You could be incredibly rich, amazingly cool, beautiful, and conduct yourself with maximum effectiveness, and it could all be useless one day. If a woman's moral and ethical principles allow her to cheat, she will cheat. Understanding this shouldn't scare us. It should make us carefully analyze our chosen one and take responsibility for selecting our life partner. A woman suitable for a relationship should demonstrate respect for men in her thinking and behavior, and a desire for harmony. If a woman constantly bothers you at home, deprives you of peace and comfort, then stop. Think about yourself. But of course, it's very simple to watch a video and agree. However, in real life, when a man meets such a bright girl and she's interested in getting closer, when she's interested, she can seem much better than she actually is. You really want to believe her. Actually, it's not that you want to believe her, but that you want to deceive yourself. Be honest. Didn't you already know all this before watching this video? If you didn't know it, then why are you living differently now? Why did you choose someone that way? We all know how to live right, who to be with, what's correct, but we don't live according to our beliefs. We don't match our own convictions. Now, I'll say something scary that you need to think about. Any promiscuous woman, even one involved in escort work, doesn't consider herself bad. She genuinely believes she can be faithful and devoted. This is an example of how skilled humans are at self-deception. Girls prefer to believe their own lies rather than accept uncomfortable truths. So they fool themselves, and you along the way. And they're good at it, because when desire takes over, consciousness shifts lower, and you're happy to be deceived. After thousands of consultations, I've understood that the problem isn't that men can't identify these typical signs of unreliable girls. These signs are visible to anyone who wants to see them. The real problem is that men don't want to see them. That's the issue. Men want to be with exactly these kinds of women. To have a chance at healthy relationships, you need to stop following your weakness. For this, you need to learn a simple but harsh principle. If anything bothers you about a woman's behavior in the first 6 months of dating, be prepared to end that relationship immediately and permanently. Any discomfort at the initial stage is a 100% sign of future problems. Do you want problems in games? Then stay where you are. But please don't call it love, relationships, or feelings. It's not a feeling. It's some kind of gambling game that all players eventually lose. Thank you so much for watching, friends. I hope you heard something important for yourselves.